Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today, as promised, I'm back with part two of the mega haul that I got at the little collectible show right down the street from me. So, I think I forgot to even mention this last time, but basically, the Northeast Collectibles, they do a show here, not too far from my house in Boxborough, Mass, twice a year, and it's a 3 day show. And I've tabled there before. I've also attended there as a guest, and it's not really my favorite. Um, I've always felt like it was a little too expensive for what you get there. They have like some B-list, not even B-list, like D-list celebrities and stuff. Last time I went, it was $35, and it just seemed like too much. But today was perfect because it was a single day show instead of a 3 day show. They didn't have any of the celebrities, and because of that, they don't have the overhead. So the ticket was only $7 online, and that was great. It was not strictly a comic show; it was a collectible show. So there were a bunch of dealers that had toys and matchboxes and GI Joes. I don't know, whatever. I didn't look at any of them, but there were quite a number of comic dealers, and I got a ton of stuff, including last time I showed you a bunch of random stuff. I got some romance, whatever. This time around, I'm going to show you all the cool horror stuff. Real quick, just before we jump into that, I do want to mention that, once again, that my new romance comics currently live on Kickstarter. Links down below, and it's a real labor of love for me. Yes, pun intended. What can I say? I'm cheesy, but I love romance comics. So anyway, check that out. The other thing that I sort of like is horror comics. Now, I don't like reading horror comics because I don't like horror as a genre. But there's so many great artists that have great horror covers that I do collect the covers that I like. And historically, that's mostly been stuff I'm getting from DC. The people from the studio that were working at DC. So you get these incredible covers by Wrightson and Kaluta, and Jeffrey Catherine Jones and Neil Adams, and just so many great DC horror covers. But there's a really underrated group of great artists that were doing covers over at Charlton. Some of them get really unhinged, and so I have been picking those up when I can get them cheap, which is usually, if you can find them, they're usually cheap. It's finding them, and particularly finding them in any kind of decent shape, that's hard. But I found a dealer here that was having a tremendous sale, and that sale was everything that they had priced under $15 was half off, and almost all of their Charlton horrors were $5. So they were only $2.50 each with the discount, and so I loaded up, and a couple other things. So I'm going to show you all that right now. Before I show you the haul from that one store, I did get one DC horror at the show, and it was $3, I think. And it's this here. It's House of Mystery 238. I'm a huge fan of amusement parks, roller coasters, theme parks. So I had to get this, which again it's kind of a classic DC horror style cover. Doesn't look to be signed. And I can't really identify the artist. It's none of the ones I mentioned previously, so it almost looks like it might be I don't know. For some reason I want to say Cardi, but probably totally wrong. But really cool cover. Again, $3. That's kind of my wheelhouse. I don't really like to spend a lot on the horror stuff because I don't read them, but it's really cool. In fact, I mean, last time I did for the 1,000 subscribers, I gave away 3 giant mystery boxes of comics. One of the people that won specifically wanted like Bronze Age horror, and so I actually gave away most of the stuff that I had accumulated, which wasn't a lot, but I gave him a whole bunch of stuff, including I'm pretty sure a copy of this. So again, there was half price. So first of all, it's in solid condition. It's Forbidden Worlds 143 from one of my favorite publishers, ACG. It's actually in pretty decent shape. I mean, it's like a 4.5 or something, but it's a solid book. And if you can get a solid ACG for $5, right, you got to get it. Except for it wasn't $5; it was half price. So totally rad. And then that was issue 143. I also got 144, which has this crazy cover, which seems to be a Vietnam War cover. Now, you know, I've mentioned this a couple times recently because it's come up. My father fought in Vietnam, so I have a particular interest in Vietnam stories and covers. But this is the only one I've seen that includes a Martian jumping out of the jungle to tackle the VC. So that's the kind of wackadoodle stuff I expect to get from ACG. So I'm excited for that. So again, $2.50. Can't pass that up. So happy to see that. But here's the haul from the Charlton comics I got. Now, all of these except the last one were from the same dealer. Again, they're all half price. But just look at some of these awesome covers, right? We got Baron Werewolf's Haunted Library number 24. It's interesting, I showed these to my wife and she thought some of them were really cool, but she actually didn't like the sort of painted covers, which were sort of like, they're almost like watercolors or like colored pencil. And I wonder what these would have looked like, or would look like if someone still had the original art, but if they had decent printing, because obviously Charlton was notorious for the crappy printing on the crappiest paper possible. So I don't know what these would have looked like with some really nice paper and some high quality printing, but there's some tremendous covers. Like, she didn't really care for this one, which looks like it might be from Joe Staton. Signature's really hard to read, so I think I probably got that wrong. It's Baron Werewolf's Haunted Library number 26, with this awesome werewolf scene where he's howling at the moon. They've got the woman in his arms. He's in a graveyard. What an awesome cover, right? I think this one didn't have a price on it, but I think he gave me, I think it was $2 for that. Another Baron Werewolf 63, and this has the Ghostly Galley. This is a Wayne Howard cover. Now, Wayne Howard did the Midnight Tales for that whole series, but he does have a handful of covers where he does this sort of Wally Wood-esque sort of EC style art, and I'm a big fan of his art, so I had to get that. And here's Baron Werewolf's Haunted Library 64. Don't recognize the signature, but check out this cool design and the colors. This is 1982, but it feels a little bit earlier because it's almost got that early 70s psychedelic look to it. Here's another Wayne Howard cover, much earlier. This is on Ghostly Haunts number 35. What Child Is This? And it's a woman running from a bunch of villagers, and she's got some kind of demon baby in her arms. And there's a castle. So cool. Scary Tales number 4. I don't know anything about this series, but it's definitely got like a fantasy element. There's a crazed woman with a giant sword. I think she might be underwater and she's fighting some sort of tentacle beast. What's interesting to me, again, don't know anything about the series, is that this is clearly a recurring character because she's in the corner box. But I don't know if she's like a horror hostess or if she's in, like, it's a series of her stories where she's like a character, like a main character in them. So I don't know. I haven't read it, and I've never read any other issues of the series. So, and we got some just absolutely tremendous covers. Here's a couple great covers from Joe Staton. Haunted number 18. So cool. I had one of these once before that I think I ended up sending to one of you for your collection, but and it's actually in pretty nice condition. Not all of these are, but most of them are quite solid. Just a great, creepy, like, sci-fi cover, and he had a few of these. Here's the Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves 47 with some great colors, really bright, and another Joe Staton cover where there's some like really cool sort of distortion of the characters. It's an interesting combination of like super detailed but also cartoony at the same time. A lot of motion in his line work. So great, bright, like I just love the colors, really well colored. So and again in really nice condition, all things considered. Of course it's miscut, but it's Charlton. Here's another awesome sort of sci-fi horror cover. This is another one that I'm pretty sure I had a copy and I sent it to someone. This one's a lot more beat up than the others, but it was also well, it's $3. This is, I think, might have been a different dealer. But check it out. How cool is that? So rad. And then finally, this is from a different dealer. It was $5, so the most I paid for any of these, right? Don't have any idea who the artist is, haven't looked it up, but just got back from the show a little while ago. It also has a little water damage on the top, but it's Tales of the Mysterious Traveler number 15. 75-cent Charlton. Cover dated December of 1985. Not easy to find those, relatively speaking, because it's the last Charlton's put out. There was a couple right at the beginning of 86, but this is the last batch, right? These 75-cent ones. I've never seen this. There's certain other Charltons from this period that I have seen, but I've never seen any Tales of the Mysterious Traveler. And it's got this super cool cover on it. It's a very 70s Charlton, sort of like funky, like the ones we just saw. So I don't know if this is being reprinted from somewhere. I don't think it, like the comic itself is a reprint, but I think it's from much earlier. Don't think this has anything to do with the story inside. Again, I haven't had a chance to open it, but I don't think so. But it's so cool. This woman with the sword, and there's this giant monster's head. It's a little weird for some reason. The monster's teeth have the playing card symbols on them. I don't know what that has to do with anything. But again, never seen it before. Not saying it's worth anything, but it's worth $5 to me for the combination of the great cover and just the curiosity of finding these late era Charltons. So that's my horror comic haul from this show. That's part 2 from this show. Next time, I've still got a giant pile of new old stock Atlas comics that I got at the same show. So tune in next time for part 3. Again, check out the link down below for my Kickstarter for Geek Love #1, my romance comic currently on Kickstarter. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.